Here it is. Hey, it's the Inner Power Podcast, episode 20, How to Become Your Own Mindset. Ninja. Do you not do that in your training?
No. I usually behave.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. With me, Andrew, and Matt Rubman. All the way around. Depends how you look upon it. If you look at one eye, two eye, it's still the same.
I'm speechless.
She's speechless as usual. And we got a very special guest today, and we've had a really good chat just off air. So would you like to introduce?
Guys, today we have a very special guest in-house, Eilleen, McCotter Davies. As I mentioned to you before, mindset is one of those things we love talking about, and I don't think there's any better person than Eilleen to talk about it. Eilleen is accredited fellow level coach with international authority for professional coaching and mentoring, and presently one of only 1% of coaches in the UK trained to this level. To date, Eilleen supports and mentors over 100 coaches across the country who are now helping their clients to get out of their own way. She coaches people to learn about self-worth, action-taking, being real, heart-centered, and business savvy. So I hope you're going to enjoy it. And let's bring Eilleen to us.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Eilleen. Nice to meet you. How are you doing?
I am good. I'm nice and toasty. Got logs on the fire.
So, yeah, we're freezing.
I can't talk when I'm freezing. When I'm freezing, you get this version. So, yeah.
That's me. Hence, I've got my scarf. But anyway, Eilleen, it's so amazing to have you on our show. I know people will definitely benefit from this chat. I know you have so much wisdom in you, and I just want them to have this tiny experience of you. What is it like to be in your world and who you are, so they can actually benefit, just on a bigger scale. And who knows, maybe come to your world for a little bit longer and learn this wonderful stuff that you're teaching. So yes, I'm gonna ask you first question because I've got a list of them.
Yeah, I'm just like hogging all the questions today, Eilleen. But before we get started, if you are listening on the podcast, don't forget to leave a nice 5-star review. And if you get this on the rerun, please drop a question in below because one of us will get back. And Eilleen, you're tagged in, so I'm sure you'll pick it up from there. So yeah, come on. What's question number one?
First of all, can you share with us what got you into mindset coaching? Where it all started?
Oh gosh, the beginning. I think what got me into mindset coaching, I was a personal trainer and trained with the Czech Institute, which was an American guy called Paul Czech that used to come over to the UK. And he had a very open-minded approach to working with the physical body. And back in the day in the UK, most people work with the physical body just through movement, which was kind of like personal training and not really then even diet and nutrition. But he was big into diet and nutrition and then into energies and holistic living and all this sort of stuff. So he kind of got me into opening my mind into other ways of working with the body. And then my personal relationship wasn't working. And I didn't know at the time I was trying to turn a circle into a square. And by the way, do not try and turn a circle into a square because it doesn't work. So I flew over to America to somebody else that this guy knew. And a very funny story, actually. So I went to this course all about energy and meridians and chakras way above my head. Because back then I was a big believer, if you see something, it's real. If you don't see something, it's not real. So I went on this course, learning more about the human body. And this guy, John, pulled me out of the crowd and said, why do I sabotage my relationships? Can you swear on this podcast?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
And so, yeah.
I'll say it nicely. So I was in a room with Americans and Canadians, and I basically told him to F off because I didn't like what he said. I didn't like what I heard. And I walked out of the room, but I left my keys in the room to this hotel room. I was in Canada on my own. So I had to go back into the room and they all clapped. because they're American. And they went, yay, woo! And I was like, oh my God. And then I came home with a new belief. What if we teach people how to treat us? And that question never left my brain. And then I kept going back for some reason, year after year. Never wanted to be a coach, just wanted to learn about, he shared this word with me, this is about 15 years ago, self-sabotage. And I started to become curious, and I started to see in my personal training clients how they would sabotage their progress. And they'd do well, they'd follow the diet, they'd be working out in the gym, and then they would eat a load of crap at the weekend or drink when they were stressed, and they would sabotage their progress. And I started then to see that in my life, particularly in relationships. But then I used to see people would sabotage their body shape. And now I see people sabotage their business success. So I kept going every year because I was curious. The strategies I was learning was helping me to cope with aspects of my life. Then I started to share these strategies with clients here, my PT clients, for no reason other than to share. And then I got known and a name for really helping people that were stuck. And I was like, oh, maybe I should do coaching. And then 10 years later, here I am. So I hope that answered what you were asking.
100%.
Yeah, definitely.
I love that story.
Definitely. Did you find that going to America as well, that being the culture, obviously it's a different culture, and did you find that there was a lot to be learned from that culture, and probably, both ways? A good friend of mine lives over in the States, and he always said there's a lot to be learned by both cultures, and in terms of mindset as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, they were, just an opinion, further ahead in terms of or more acceptable that people might have a psychologist or a psychiatrist. This appeared to be less stigma for me than what there used to be in the UK. I think the UK are more moving that way in many aspects. Maybe that's good or not good, where coaching is more open. But if you look at any, where you see a person who's phenomenal at their craft. So, you could say Lewis Hamilton, you could look at tennis players, you could look at, high up entrepreneurs. They all have a coach, and they either have a food coach or a physio coach or a mindset coach in their team. And I think in the UK, we are moving that way. And I think it's great because we all know that we need to eat apples and they're better than a Mars bar, for example. We all know that we need to go to the gym is better than sitting down in the chair all day. But we've also got this thing up here, this muscle in our head that also needs support. And now that mental health is being shared more, there's still this market of people that don't tick the mental health box, but still have a lot of pressure and inner dialogue that we're living it with on a daily basis. So I'm glad that coaching now is being seen as, actually, it's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of, I don't paint. Why? Because I'm not good at painting. We've got a gardener. Why? Because I kill a plant very quickly. I try not to, but I do. So why aren't we having a coach to help us when we're stuck to move forward? For me, it's a no-brainer. And to this day, I still have a coach, and I still have that place where I can speak freely and open about my own challenges. And that hour just helps me to gather my thoughts and put them back in place. So I'm glad that we're going that way and adopting that culture.
Yeah, I agree. I feel that obviously the three of us are all coaches in our own way, right? For various things. And I, like for myself, and it's pretty much what you just said, you just need that coach sometimes, because we pick up bad habits. So for teaching martial arts, it's probably constantly keep your guard up, and it drop down. So you need that, because you'll learn everything. Well, you won't learn everything. You'll learn a lot in a few years, but we're still going to pick up bad habits along the way, which we do in, like you said, with our relationships or our businesses. And I think sometimes, like you said, you know, it's refreshing. You know, you saying you got your own coach still, and it's so important because when we're in it, we don't see it the same way. Do you find that with your clients that you get to see things differently for them?
Yeah, absolutely. Because for me, we're emotional human beings. Even if you're a person that cries a lot or you cry very little, we're still emotional. And we kind of, as you know, through the school system, learn to suppress our emotions in some way. However, things get to us, and even if we pretend they don't, they do. And I work with all different types of business people, and they still, bottom line, it's a human need that we want to be liked, we want to fit in, we want to belong, we want to do the right thing in some way. So a client often, because they're in it and they're emotionally in it with they might have a challenge with their child, they might have a challenge with a work colleague, they might have a challenge with a neighbor, they might have a challenge with their partner, that they're in it and they need some support to communicate in a way to take the emotions out of the way, so the dialogue is not emotionally loaded. You know, kids don't want to hear, why haven't you tidied your bedroom? And a person doesn't want a business coach to say, but why haven't you done your social media posting? Because a why often can make somebody feel defended, or a why, we can hear it as, why haven't you done that? And whenever a human being feels defended, we either attack and go, I haven't tidied my bedroom because I didn't bloody want to, or we hide and we pull away. So I think, you know, clients get stuck. They can't see how they're stuck because they are emotionally invested. I'm emotionally invested. I am emotionally invested to my husband. He doesn't meet my expectations. I know that. However, I still want him to meet those expectations. I know they're my expectations. So sometimes having someone else who's not emotionally involved, you can get that all out and put it in order and communicate in a more honest, open and vulnerable way, either with your work colleagues, with your children, with your friends, you know. So yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned expectations. I find that this is one of the biggest factors why people actually struggling with the communication. And sometimes, you know, those high expectations is not like someone is not meeting them. It's just us, you know, this is actually blocking us from connecting with those people because we are actually expecting them to be something else that they are. It's just like we are becoming very loyal to the vision of them, not them. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, yeah. I'm so glad you actually brainwashed me over the last 3 years, because I actually learned to look at people different. And not only other people, myself. And I think that was the biggest breakthrough for me. I became less judgmental towards my peers. And if I catch myself doing something that isn't necessarily the best behavior, instead of judging my behavior now, I laugh at myself more. Yeah. And that helps me to move forward and stay less in that space, if that does make sense. So I just want to use the opportunity to say thank you very much for all you do and what you've taught me. So yeah, guys, listen, this lady here is amazing. Claire. Hi, Claire.
Hi, Claire.
If you ever want to work on your mind, learn a very friendly approach, very friendly ways of how to do it, and really get out of your own way, this is the person to contact. She will help you to find your own way. She's not gonna do it for you, but she will show you how you do it, how you can do it for yourself, so you can find this true self-empowerment within yourself in a very, very safe, friendly, wonderful environment. So we are dropping links in the comments. There will be more links coming afterwards too. So if you would like to reach out and find out what Eilleen got to offer, please check those links out. There is lots of wonderful content that is very worth giving shout out.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
Yes. Shout it out.
So
what's our next question? Number 2. Oh, actually, probably a bit more than question number 2, isn't it? So, but yeah,
like,
again, just to remind you, if you're joining in, if you've got any questions you'd like to push towards Eilleen, drop them in the comments. Simple as that.
Simple as that. Eilleen, tell me, what was your big aha moment when you started working on your mind? What clicked for you the most?
Get your keys back, Rose.
Yeah, I think what clicked the most for me is the 3 behaviors that for me are in everybody, and I was not aware that I would slip into one of those behaviors, and they kind of work together. So from a coaching spiel, you would call these like archetypes, and you would go, what is an archetype? And an archetype is a type of a behavior. And when we look at the archetypes, it can help your brain to see a behavior, because the brain likes labels. Like we like labels, like, oh, I'm a vegetarian, or, you know, I'm a brunette, or, you know, I'm a dog lover. The brain likes labels. And the good thing about an archetype, you can see the label and then you can see it in yourself. So the 3 behaviors were the victim, the punisher, and the rescuer. And especially if you look at the health and fitness diet world, like I certainly used to punish myself and exercise a lot and exercise very hard. I now see that with business people. I see business people working really hard, like putting in hours and hours and grafting, you know, as a solopreneur or an entrepreneur, or even within a company, targets, outcomes. And that creates an awful lot of pressure. And that's where we can punish ourselves. We can push ourselves too much, too hard, and too long, and too often. And then we punish other people, because adrenaline's up, pressure is up, and then we take it out on loved ones, or, as Ange was saying, somebody hasn't, like, I'd say to one of my stepkids, put your frigging bowl in the dishwasher, not hard, plate in, done. But I'd be the punisher, because I'm punishing myself, pushing myself in a part of my world, a part of my life. So there's the punisher archetype, and we either punish self internally. That's where we can berate ourselves, push ourselves too hard, blame ourselves, or we punish other people. We blame, it's your fault. I ate the chocolate cake because you brought it home. Because you opened the bottle of wine, I've drank it. It's your fault. Or we punish a business coach because they didn't get us the return that we wanted, for example. So that's one behavior. The second was the victim. That's when we start to feel sorry for ourselves. I was very good at being a victim. And I'd be like, especially in relationships, I'd be like, he hurt me. He let me down. How dare he do that to me? And I just feel sorry for myself. And I see that with people with their body shape. I'm never going to be slim. And I'm certainly not trying to patronize people here, by the way. But if we don't own our behaviors, they own us. And that's when I was noticing I was slipping into being the victim and feeling sorry for myself, which robs your joy, steals your happiness. And the third one was the rescuer. And the rescuer is when you might go around trying to rescue everyone else because you're the overgiver, you're the people pleaser, and you're trying to make everyone else's life great, or you're doing everything for your children. Mark's hiding. That's hiding. And those 3 work together in a loop. And when I noticed, I would go from the victim, the punisher, the rescuer, from the shadow side. So each of those archetypes has a positive and a negative. So the great thing about the punisher from the light side, the good side, is you have agreements in place in your business. You have agreements in place in your family. You have agreements with your children on who does the washing, who does the hoovering, for example. You have agreements in your business and who does what. That's the good side about the punisher archetype. The downside is that you blame people for not meeting your expectations, or you blame yourself. The victim, you feel hurt. and you feel everyone's out to get you, or people are going to take your money and run, or all this sort of stuff, and you feel sorry for yourself, or you feel like someone's going to do you a wrong in some way. That's the downside of the victim. The light side of the victim is you've been hurt, you've been burnt, and you've took the lesson and you're growing from it. You're going to evolve out of that victim. The rescuer, the light side of rescuing, is that you help yourself. You know how to help yourself. You know how to rescue yourself. You know how to look after your own happiness. The downside of a rescuer is you put yourself last and you try and rescue everyone else. Once I got those labels and I had to put my hand up and be honest with my own behaviors, which my brain didn't like, by the way, because it was very good at blaming everyone else, then my life started to change massively. And just those three I took to every client that I was training on the gym floor, or I took it then to coaching women about self-care. Then now I take it to business people that are building properties or building their own businesses. When do you turn into the victim? How do you punish aspects of yourself? And how do you rescue yourself? And then how can we break out of those patterns so those behaviors don't own you? And ultimately, I think as a human being, we have one thing in common. We want joy, whatever that is. Joy for somebody is closing their diary on a Friday night. Joy for somebody else is finishing work and reading a book to their child. Joy for Ange is going out, stroking horses and being in nature. We ultimately do want joy. We want satisfaction. We want accomplishment, whatever that will mean. And we've got to find out how this thing here tries to rob that from us by being stuck in the victim or the punisher, the constant pushing and proving part, or we avoid self and try and look after the world. So that changed my life. That when I got that in my brain, am I still a victim today at times? Oh, yes. Am I the punisher? Oh, yes. Do I try and rescue everyone else? Talk to my husband. He's like, Eilleen, you do everything for everyone else. Yes. But I'm aware of it, and how much I do of that is now more in my control.
Claire just commented in the chat box, this is really fascinating. Oh, we know it is. We do know. Thank you so much for sharing that comment with us.
I really liked how you put that, because I've not, there's different ways you can put everything, is it? But the way you with the rescuer, the punisher, the victim, I really like that. And as you're saying it, I know I put my head up for the rescuer because that's probably one of my biggest flaws. But again, I was thinking of the, even when you said the light and the dark side, or whatever you want to put it. There you go, Claire. There's another Star Wars reference for you. But I was thinking, oh yeah, I think as well, when I look back, I'm much more aware now, like yourself. But like you said, still fall into those little traps every now and then. It's, oh my God, out of this. But I think that's one of the biggest things about mindset. I don't know how you feel about that, Eilleen, but once you become more aware, and I think you said it, is you're able to, because I just find it's all these things are a part of me. And when I became aware, and it's like instead of punishing myself, or I can't remember how you put it, but I was able to think, well, this is a lesson. This is how I'm going to change this. This is where I'm going to put boundaries in place for, my life, and boundaries for me to not be jumping into, hey, I can help you, because I love helping people. It's a need of mine, because I enjoy it, really. Like you said, we just want to have fun. We enjoy. I love seeing people, shine, really. But I've learned to put that boundary to say, no, this is what am I giving up here? Certain things I have to sometimes shift around first. But yeah, it was just so interesting to hear that, and reminds me a little bit. I always come back to the chimp paradox, but it's the same thing. It's like understanding like how our brain, I guess, our emotions work, and I love how accountable you've held yourself for that. And I think that's one of the biggest things as well. When we're a bit more accountable, accept this is a part of me. So how can I learn to live with this? And I feel then it's easier to let go of those shackles that can hold us back, and sometimes they grab on again, but we can, once we know how to remove them, it becomes easier every time.
Absolutely. And Ange hit the nail on the head for me with saying, how can we be less serious about the behaviors and the habits and the patterns that we have, because it can become all too consuming. And I think when we start to laugh, not at self, but laugh with self. So, sometimes I go, like my dad passed away, we're real people. We've got real life things happen. We don't know when they're going to happen. And, my dad passed away in December. I went over, flew straight away. I was the rescuer. I was sorting everything out, taking everything on board, and I was aware of it. And then I just sat down, I burst out laughing. And my sister said, "What are you laughing at?" And I went, and she goes, "Oh, you've just done everything." I went, "I know." And there I am again. But I laughed at it, going, that's part of my character. And I can see how that serves me, and it can be detrimental. Because I just moved my own grieving process to the side, just went over there, sort everything out. It's a great avoidance strategy, but I was aware of it. And then I laughed my head off, and then obviously went into days of crying. So, and then laughing at that, like, God, isn't grief is a sorrowful, sad thing, but also something that we can, work with as well.
Yeah, definitely. We have to go through it, unfortunately.
Humor is the path to enjoy self.
Oh, this is brilliant. Do you believe in quantum leaps? Because I see a lot of that stuff, being put out there, on the social media, on YouTube. Many coaches use that. And personally, I'll share it with you. I do not believe in quantum leaps, but I would like to know your opinion about it. Can you change 180 within, a day? Because that's how
Yeah, see, the challenge is, it's like with anything. Some people are going to have a quantum leap. And I think a lot of for me, this is my personal opinion, what is shared on social media platforms is if you had 100 people, 5 of them had a quantum leap, they then show the results of those people that had a quantum leap that probably would have had the quantum leap anyway. My experience with, I've realized that I've worked with behaviors for such a long time. I started off actually working with young offenders that were involved in criminal activity. And I didn't know then what I know now, but I noticed that most of them got into criminal activity because they got negative attention, because they weren't getting positive attention. They didn't get a sense of belonging, that they mattered. And then if you look at, then I went into what I'm doing now, and I don't think change is challenging. Change is hard because the brain runs on patterns and runs on familiar patterns and habits. And without us knowing it, like today, you've already, all of you, probably done 100 habits that you're not even aware of. Like you open the door with the same hand, or I feed the dogs. I've got 3. One has to go in one room, one in the other room, one in the other room. Even the dogs have got that habit now. It's all embedded. So I think, what is shown is that change is easy and quick. I think when you're in severe pain or had a severe wake-up call in your life, which I have worked with people, some people go, I've got to change because their life could be on the line. But for most of us, we have to repeat this same challenge over and over and over again before we go, this isn't working for me. And most of us try and get through on our own. I did as a business owner. I was trying to do everything in a business, but you never see a business that does exceedingly well on their own. But because I have to do it, because as a child, I was like, I'll just do everything myself because it's easier. Or I'd be loyal to a belief. I've got my dad in my ear. which is my perception of what my dad would, a sentence my dad would say. If you want a job done, do it yourself. That's one of the statements I heard. Doesn't mean he said that. Second statement, don't owe anyone anything. That's what I heard. So then Eilleen then becomes loyal to that pattern and brings that baggage to her business and doesn't get other people to do things in a business that they would be better at. So I think quantum leaps, there's a tiny percentage that have quantum leaps. I would say there's a bigger percentage of people that change, even with all the fads. Look at how many fads are in the health and fitness industry. They're not working. Why? Because we need the basic fundamentals of sleep, hydration, have food, enjoy indulgences, and eat real foods most of the time. We need the basic fundamentals, and most people struggle with the basic fundamentals of most things. Same in business, same in relationships. You might not need a date night, but you frigging need communication because we spend so much time assuming. So that's a fundamental in a relationship. And I think that's why most of us don't have quantum leaps, because we're going to practice the fundamentals. But most of us go back to a default. I better not say that because that might hurt them. I better not say that. I don't like conflict. I better not say that because they don't understand me. I better not ask for help because then I'm going to owe them something, because that's what my dad said. Does that make sense? Better not charge more because then they'll think I'm greedy, you know. So
I love what you said and how you beautifully elaborated on that. You know, I had this thought because I was pondering about it, you know, for quite some time, and I thought what the quantum leap really is. And then I agree, like you said, it might happen when something happened in someone's life and they have to make that change. They might have to change their direction. And what I also liked is what you said about this group of people having this like instant awakening, which, like you said, probably would happen anyway, because the quantum leap is not only what is visible on the surface, the whole process underneath that is not visible, you know, to the human's eye. And I think we might sometimes call something a quantum leap, but the process is much longer that leads to the quantum leap itself, isn't it? Yeah. So that's why I thought, does it really exist? Does it really happens? You know, there must be something happening, you know, behind the scenes that leads to it.
Yeah.
Which is supposed to be counted into the process.
Yeah,
so.
And some people, you know, we could call it luck or whatever. Some people get lucky, or like you say, you don't know their personal circumstances. When, you know, I can honestly say now, as a mother, you know, back, you know, 25 years ago, and say 20 years ago when I was a single parent, my back was up against the wall. You know, the money that was coming into my house was going out. So I had to kind of work more to have more. Now, I don't have to work more to have more. It's more of a choice. So I think when our back is up against the wall, you know, innately human beings, we are meant to be, you know, when our back is up the wall, we fight or flight. But most of us, and our brain likes familiar. Another word for that is comfort. Another word for that is repetitive patterns. We kind of go, January, this year I'm going to do all of this. I want it to be different. But it's not different because we get pulled back to the habits that kind of have a hold of us. And as a mindset coach, I help people to go, we have got to turn it round. We've got to turn it round and go, those habits do not control me. How can I control those habits? And that's when that is practice, daily, weekly practice. And then it becomes a new embedded. So then it's more of a subtle leap than a massive, you know, quantum leap.
I think, which is safe for the content, isn't it? Anyway.
It's so true. Yeah. It's so true. I'm going to shout out Charlie Morehouse. It'd be good to get on as a guest sometime. But so Charlie's a client of mine through martial arts, Eilleen. He's suffered with suffered. I shouldn't even say that now. He's has Asperger's, and he was told he wouldn't get a job. But oh my gosh, his head on it all. Exactly what you just said. He's learned to make that part of his life, basically, and to live with it and just crack on. And
Yeah.
he's
It's true
he done a degree, he'd done all the things that they said he couldn't do. And I think, but again, like coming back to this quantum leap thing, I think in an extremity, but something would have been building up maybe inside. But even with that, I think as an extreme, something drastic needs to change, and we know it, but we knew it for a while. I would say, I don't know, but even when we make a change, it's his decision. I feel at the end of the day is that this is not serving me, and we might have a bit of resistance, mightn't we, along the way, but you will get there, and we do get there eventually. And it's, for me, it's just a continual journey. Even when I thought I'm all right now, apparently I'm not. And then I think I'm all right again. But so now I think, as I said earlier, just it's learning.
Yeah, absolutely.
Accept, who you are and what. And I think you're right. When your back's up against the wall, sometimes, a lot of us have been at rock bottom or in the basement of it. But how long do we want to stay there for? So, there's always a way out. There's always a solution to something. But it might take time, and it sometimes just one thing at a time, isn't it? So yeah. Cool. I really felt like I sidetracked a lot. Brain was going around trying to soak in everything. Good content.
Eilleen, what do you think is the biggest obstacle for people to move in their life, to make a change? What do you find out is the most common one?
I think the biggest obstacle for most is getting help, asking for help, and investing in themselves. I think, again, it's not them personally. I think our brain naturally likes a quick fix. We want things instantly. I mean, especially, now, with, Amazon Prime and Netflix, and, gone are the days where, I don't think my grandson will ever watch anything live on TV because he doesn't have to, and that has its good side and its not so good side. That I think we want things instantly, so we quickly will invest in things that give a quick return, or we think will get us the help. And I was doing the same. Like I was, you go through life, you're bouncing along, you go through your teens, and it's great because you're just doing your thing or whatever, and then you get a job, and then you have a child and a house, and life becomes a little bit more responsible, therefore a little bit more serious. And then you kind of go, who am I and what am I about? And then that might lead you to a personal development bookstore or a yoga class, or where you kind of realize, I need to do some inner work. But then we can go, well, I'll just buy a book, or I'll go for that thing for a day. But I think we need to commit. And I think the biggest obstacle is because our brain doesn't want to spend the money on self in that way, or wants a quick return rather than the longevity. But if you look at health and fitness, you can go to the gym, lose weight in 6 weeks and get in a dress, whatever. But in order to maintain health, it's daily, it's regular. And that's the same with mindset. People often say to me, Eilleen, how have you got your success? I haven't stopped. I will not stop investing in myself up until the day I die in some way. And I think we've got to look at short term. And I see very successful people, successful in business and shit in relationships. I see people very successful in relationships, shit at business. And I see people have great relationships in business and shocking when it comes to their health. And then they have the money, but then they don't invest in the longevity of something. So they'll buy the, the bike or the band or the whatever, rather than like, I was out the weekend and ran a table, and I'd say most people there had money. It was a very expensive restaurant. Everyone was drinking away, and someone mentioned that bike. Is it called what's that bike? There you go. And someone went, wow, God, but it's £2,000, And I was there going, here we go. Yeah. But they'll easily spend £2,000 on something else rather than, my friend who has invested, because she invests in herself, she's bought it, she's on it, she's doing it, it's interactive, etc. So they'll put a price to it, right? So that's when I think that's the biggest obstacle, is people actually going, I'm going to invest in myself. And that was me. I was a single parent. There wasn't a lot of money. And I went, I'm just going to buy a book. I went to America and I had £100, right? I'm going to do my best not to get a few tears here. I brought the airfare. This guy who's now my coach to today, and this is an act of true kindness, he said to me, if you can get to America, me and my wife will pick you up. And I met this guy once. We will pick you up. You can welcome to stay at our house, and you can pay off the course however you can. So he didn't make it free. He says you can pay it off however you can, right? If you can get there. And I flew there. I had £100 for 10 days. That's all I had, cash. I had £10 a day and they took me to Whole Foods. If you've ever been to America, it's like Whole Wallet. It's like our equivalent of Waitrose and more. Really healthy foods, right? And I brought one lot of food, and I had to make that last all day. But that was me going, I'm going to find a way. And I don't like the word excuses. I hate the word excuses, because excuses make people feel like they're doing something wrong. I don't believe people have excuses. I believe that the brain makes up reasons, rationalizes, so we can hide our potential. So I had this £100, and I thought, I'm going to go no matter what. I'm going to find a way. And he gave me an act of kindness, but I met him there. And since then, and I do the same for people. I do many acts of kindness. I won't make it free, but I'll make it a way that someone can get there. If someone is reaching for help, then meet them where they are. So I think that's the biggest obstacle, that people don't invest in themselves because they deny. It's their way of their brain blocking their truest potential, blocking their joy, because deep down a part of them might feel they don't deserve it, or they don't know why they should have joy when somebody else in their life didn't have joy. Yeah,
I totally agree with all that. I think I spoke about this on my podcast the other week, but it's so true, because, and I see it again within the fitness, you probably get it as well, and like exactly what you said, Eilleen, that how maybe it's a relationship we have, or I say we as a generalization, right, with money, and people will quit on that healthy lifestyle but maintain. Don't get me wrong, we need entertainment, but for what we on television or drinking, and that's, for some reason, that's justifiable. I can never get my head around it, but people got to stop for whatever their reasons are, and that's just how it is.
I think Eilleen said that perfectly.
Yeah,
people
definitely
want quick fix.
Yeah, no, it is
instant.
Oh my gosh,
instant results. There is no patience whatsoever.
Yeah, I seen something years ago, and this I think it was on like GMTV or whatever it was, and they were, and I think we've always had that quick fix mentality, because it's probably been put out in media one way or another through maybe Owns and Fools and Horses, or just things like that. But if like now today, what we have to compete with is our children do have instant information. Instant information, which is good. Like you said, there's a good and a bad to it, because it's good because they can buy some more. If he wants to learn about programming, he'd go and grab it off YouTube and he learns by himself. But the downside is, I think it was a toddler, and they had a tablet, so they were like flicking. Can't get on camera. They were flicking through some photos, so they knew next photo, next photo, next photo. Whereas in the day we had to go get the album down from the attic or whatever it was, the cupboard, and then bring it down and flick it through. so it wasn't as instant. Then they put a magazine in front of the toddler and they were trying to change the page like this. It just wasn't used to it. It was really a bit of an eye-opener, really. But yeah, we do want that quick fix. But the thing is, it is continual process, like you said. It's continual. We need a coach there, 100%. And it was really nice to hear how you got to America and that you'll continue that on. And I've so many great coaches I see do that, you know, when it's the high level. And I'm seen it recently, something was that where they did a similar thing, and it was so nice. And that way, you know, people get that opportunity, because there's always a way. And I feel that when we're in the right, it's not luck. I don't think it's luck. It's not the right place at the right time, but maybe it's ourselves putting us in the right place and allowing that opportunity to see us through. Like, do you think a part of you could have said, oh no, I can't do that, I just possibly couldn't do that? Because again, people will can hold themselves back, can't they? Right? So you're trying to
yeah. God, my brain was definitely, you know, had loads of reasons why not to go and don't go, and you know, many obstacles about that, you know, for sure. But I think there comes a time in your day or your week where you go, and that's where honesty has to step in, where you go, right, I am, or a big part of me is truly sick and tired of this, and I do want change. How can I change it? And I think, you know, even if that's, you know, sleepless nights or weight gain or whatever, you know, not getting a relationship or whatever, that you go, I'm sick and tired of this. And I think that's where, for me, where, you know, when you talk about a quantum leap, when somebody makes that decision, I'm sick and tired of this, I want this to change in some way, then they find a way, whatever that is. But it's getting to that decision is challenging, because the brain will go, but I know what it's like, you know, but I want to go on a date, but I know what it's like, you know, it's comfortable, isn't it, Eilleen, in my house? Or I know I want to earn more money, but, you know, what I do, you know, works, and I'm okay financially. So we kind of don't get sick and tired. So we repeat.
Would that be the reason why people fail this so-called New Year resolution thing?
Yeah, well, I think most New Year's resolutions set people up to fail. Often it could be, you know, we're going a little bit deeper into coaching, it could be the wording of the New Year's resolution, because they've set them up, you know, straight away, when they've gone, you know, I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week, when the year before they walked through the gym door twice. So it could be the goal they've set for themselves. You know, like even at the weekend, you know, one of my friends' fellas was like, he's on keto, and he's like, this diet's working for me. And I went, do you mean this lifestyle? And he went, yeah, you're right, it's not a diet, you know, because he's actually saying the keto lifestyle is working for him. It personally works for him. I said, but he's tried every year to diet, stop the fags. But now he's going, do you know what, this is a lifestyle change I need to make, rather than I'm dieting just to get that quick result, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's got to be longevity. We all know longevity, sustainability, all those juicy words that most of us know.
Excellent. Someone's just Kath Ruskin has put a question out. I think this is a good one. So maybe give some advice here, Eilleen. So others also make you feel guilty about investing in yourself. It takes guts to stick to the commitment to invest in yourself when those around you don't agree. What advice would you give to Kath there, Eilleen? I don't know if you're asking for advice, Kath, but people might be feeling exactly the same as you.
That's a great question, and you're spot on. See, this is going a little bit deeper, that especially if you're living with somebody or you work with somebody or something like that, if you want to change an aspect of your life, they could feel threatened or fearful by that change. And that's when they may share comments. Now, I had that. I had comments on, what are you going there for? What are you doing that for? But in the end, I just had to make that decision. And, you know, a suggestion would be we have to agree to disagree. And even today now, you know, in my marriage, my husband wants me to go camping. When we first met, go camping with him. I've been there. I camped when I didn't have any money, and I took Gianna camping everywhere, and I've done that. I'm not doing it now. I want a hotel. So, or just a bed and a shower. So, you know, I won't go. So, you know, and he can easily say, you've gone with other people before, you've gone with ex-boyfriends, why aren't you going with me? But that's why I go, look, we're just going to have to agree to disagree. So there's going to be a challenge when you invest in yourself. There's going to be a challenge when you start to change an aspect of yourself, because that might make the other person wobbly or uncomfortable. What they might need to hear is that they're important to you. So I say to Spencer, you are important to me. And I love that you want to go camping, and I can see that's important to you. However, I will join you for the day, but I'm staying in the hotel. Oh, well, yeah. I'd like you to be with me. I get that, but we're going to have to agree to disagree. So it's about learning to agree to disagree, and also for you to be on your path and what works for you, and respect that people around you, your family, your friends, might not get it.
Oh, no, that's great advice. Kath says she's just making a comment. Thank you, Kath. But I think it was a really important thing to put out, because I think we've all been there at some point. And I kind of feel if there's something I really wanted to do, and it's, would it be for business or anything else, that and if I didn't do it because of maybe someone's wishes, I'm probably going to end up resenting them anyway. There'd be some form of resentment or blame that comes in later on. I haven't. So I feel like we do, you know, we owe it to ourselves to fulfill what, but you know, like you said, it's finding that way forward. And it's really, I guess, in a relationship, then you respect, you know, it's not doing anything to harm. Hopefully you have that respect where, okay, I kind of understand.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you look at resentment, we think we resent the other person, but that resentment lives in you. Lives, you know, like anger, you know, passive anger, whatever, it lives in itself. And that's when you kind of sit with, okay, you know, do I want to have that feeling inside me or not? And then, like, as you said the word earlier, boundaries. And I know that boundaries are not easy to implement, especially if you're a rescuer archetype and you think about others before yourself. It can be extremely challenging from my experience.
I found. No, I think I found them challenging because they upset people, and then I again a little bit of a mindset shift. Well, let's say I got a boundary with Ange, for example. She doesn't like it. I'm not going to like it, but the boundaries for me, not for they're for they're ourselves, aren't they? Not for other people. And I think that was a nice little mindset shift for me.
I remember this.
No, you're not. That was taught. That's my boundary.
I remember so vividly when we were talking at one of your workshops, amazing workshops about boundaries, and you said when you actually put the boundaries in place and you hit lots of resistance, it's just a sign for a need of those boundaries in that place even more, you know. And I was like, this is interesting, because if boundaries is closely associated with respect to the personal needs and wants, then when there is a boundary, then there is respect to it. So there is no some sort of like disagreement about the boundaries. But if you put the boundaries in place and they hit disrespect, meet disrespect, then you know very well that you have to, you know, really stick to that boundary. Otherwise,
that's why you're putting the boundary in, right?
But lots of people actually, do you find that sometimes people, because they are scared, you know, they want to put the boundaries in place, and like you said, they are rescuers, so when they hit this resistance, they take a step back?
Often, because again, they might have a story or past experience, avoid conflict, don't like conflict, don't want conflict, don't know what to do with conflict. So then they'll take a step back. So for sure. But that's when it's finding a boundary that works for that person in their way, which they could start with, because you can break boundaries down. It doesn't have to be a big, you know, like a lot of people that are very helpful and over helpful struggle to say no to other people. So saying a no might be too much of a boundary, but you can bring that closer and find a step before that so that they feel more safe and secure with putting the boundary in place.
I really like that.
Mm-hmm.
I really do.
Sometimes it's better to say no, and then if you can go back with a yes later, then it's anyway, that's another thing. Sorry, Kath has put another good comment down. So I thought it was something else that holds us back. We need to be aware that we need to put self first.
Yeah, absolutely. And most of us have heard about the oxygen mask. You know, on an aeroplane, they say put it on first, put it on as a second. But even though we know that, if your brain has been wired and conditioned through your upbringing to put other people first, then it's quite alien and new to your brain to then put yourself first. So especially if you're, you know, caring in nature, or you get your needs met, you get your sense of fulfillment by being there for other people. So like my mom, like classic example, you know, she's been married to my dad for 62 years, and unfortunately he died in December. And before that, she's had 7 children, and she was a teacher, and she also looked after my nan for 10 years in our house. She only knows how, she's 83, nearly 80, going to soon be 84. She only knows a life of caring for other people. That's all she knows. And she was doing everything for Dad, even though it was hurting her body. She was having sacrifices. She had a lot of resentment because she was doing everything to care for him. He should have really gone to a nursing home way earlier, but she wouldn't do it. And I said to her the other day, she's like, Eilleen, I've read this thing in a book, self-care, but I don't know how to care for myself. I was like, of course she doesn't, because her world has just been others than her. So for me to go, well, Mum, just put yourself first. She doesn't know. She's got this big empty canvas, and she doesn't know how to fill it. So I'm just doing with her baby steps, you know. And even now, she used to moan when Dad was alive. I've not had a drink of water. It's like 12 o'clock. I've not had my breakfast. I was with her the other week in Ireland. It was 12 o'clock, and she still didn't have a breakfast. There's no one to look after. She did everything else. Fed the cats, feral cats, did some paperwork, tidied up, and then did breakfast, you know? So when we're not used to putting oxygen mask on ourselves first, that's the challenge. And that's when a client needs support, not to be judged, patience, and they need a little formula that works for them, not for you. And that's what pees me off about the coaching world. You should not put on other people your formulas, because that formula might not work for them. It has to be, find out their character, where they are, and let them create the formula that works for them. And you guide them, you support them by the side. So that's just one of my little bugbearers.
And this is how you help people to become their own mindset ninja. Just
to their own mindset. And we're different, right? Some people like the soft approach. Some people go, tell it to me straight. Some people like things written down. Some people want a visual support. Some people like self-talk and like, you know, talk coaching. Some people don't. They might want, you know, sound healing. So it's about find your way and be honest with yourself that, you know, will this help me? Will this support me? Because, you know, one of my jobs as a coach, I pull people out on their bullshit, and it's not them, it's their brain, how their brain likes to trick them. And I have to like pull them out on how their brain tricks them into thinking a certain way. So cool.
This process is really tiring.
Yeah,
sometimes.
I bet. But good.
Oh yeah, you get head bashed. You know, it is, and that's the thing. We don't use our brains, right? Really, they just repeat. So when people come for a day's workshop and they go, oh my God, my head is mashed, I go, good, because that means we've got it uncomfortable. We're shaking it around. We wanted it to think in a different way. And we need to think in a different way. If not, we think in the same way, and we have, I don't like the word always outcomes, but we have the same experiences. And we want different experiences.
Yeah.
Definitely.
If we don't change our way, it's gonna be what?
I know.
Different places, right? Different places, different faces, but still the same bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Life changes anyway, so
Yeah.
it's gonna change whether you
100%.
like it or not. It's inevitable. Just a bit aware of the time. We've been going for a good hour. Thank you for watching and listening. So I think better just tie things up a
Yeah,
little
so
bit. We
we're
have loads
gonna-
more questions, but
We're gonna ask final question.
Yes,
Gonna ask
exactly.
Eilleen, could you give us 5 top mindset tips that we could share with people? What could they do today?
What could they do today? Okay, step 1 is to praise themselves. No, it sounds weird. So step 1 was sit down with either a piece of paper, if you like writing, or go for a walk, if that works, or, cook something tonight and think about it. Praise yourself. Because if we do not acknowledge where we are, if we do not look at how far we've come, then the brain will look ahead, which often can put us under pressure. So number 1 is to praise. We're all epic, beautiful, wonderful individuals trying to enjoy life and work life out. Yeah, I think most people have a good heart, have good heart intentions, even if they might not say things in a fluffy, nice way. They have good heart, intentions. So 1 is to praise self. Step 2, listen to your words. So if you are saying, oh, I can't lose weight, I can't do that, that's too hard. Why is that too hard for me? Why am I doing that? Instead, start to say part of me. So when you say part of me, then only part of the brain thinks it, leaves space often in the other part of the brain. So you can go, part of me is feeling anxious. Part of me is feeling overwhelmed. Part of me questions if I'm successful. But another part of me sees I'm successful. So that'd be my second thing. The third thing is to look at the victim, the punisher, and the rescue behaviors that you have. Just sit down and look at your behaviors, and also look at them in the other people around you. And don't go, you're acting like a victim, but just go, oh, actually, what if everyone has that cycle of behavior? So then you can see that we just have that as a cycle. The fourth one is get some help outside of self. And most people that come to me, they've read the books, and the books help. For me, books give you information, and they've given me tremendous information, but they often don't give me implementation. And that's what we need help with. We need somebody there that could help you to implement, the thing in the book. And that doesn't mean you don't have to do massive high investments. I have big programs that are big investments because it works where people are. It could be there's a small coaching group community you could join, or stuff like that out there. And the fifth thing is to make a decision on what are you sick and tired with. What are you truly sick and tired of? And write down, why are you sick and tired of that? And what would you like instead of that? So it's kind of, look, part of me is sick and tired of that. And what would I like instead of that? And focus on that. Focus on, actually, I do believe that could happen. Or just use your imagination on what you would like to create. Become imaginative. In fact, another way of saying that, Ange, is be childlike. Be more light-hearted in the things that you might be sick and tired with, that might seem heavy in your life.
Wow. Gosh, this is golden.
It is. I'm just taking a
Fantastic.
photo.
You're taking a photo, fabulous. Amazing. So
That's brilliant. Thank you. They're really top five. Yeah,
that was
brilliant.
like top,
Yeah,
top, top,
yeah.
top 5.
Yeah.
Could you share with us, just what you've got coming up very soon, so people have a chance actually to taste what it's like to be in your world? I know you do workshops on a regular basis. You have a coaching program. Just tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, for sure. So I have many different things to kind of help people kind of where they are on their path to mindset, because we're at different places, right? So if you're new to mindset, or you've been reading the books and trying to do stuff on your own, a good step is to get one of my masterclasses. So I have a whole library resource of masterclasses, and they're a 90-minute recording on a topic, and it's me talking to other people on a recording, so you can listen to how similar we all are as human beings. And the investment for that is £30. I've got one on self-doubt, how to get out of procrastination, overwhelm, self-belief, working with the inner critic, how to get more confidence, all sorts of juicy self-sabotage, juicy stuff that we kind of experience as human beings. That would be a great start for somebody. For somebody who feels like they've done stuff on their own but need to take the next step and is willing to invest, then you can contact me and have a complimentary coaching call. However, because my time is tight, not everyone that come to me can have a call, because I don't have that, that time. However, you'll get a questionnaire, a brief questionnaire to fill in. And if you answer those, then I'll invite, I do 5 calls a week that I do complimentary to help people. And from there, you might continue to work with me and join a coaching program, and I create a program for you, individual for you. Another way is I do live workshops. So that means you have to turn up live. So I do have clients in Norway, Holland, Australia, Dubai, and Thailand. They don't fly in for them yet. So these are live in Coventry. I do 8 of those for a year. So you can just come and join me for a day with similar like-minded people trying to enjoy life more. So you can do that. The other thing that I have is, if you want to become a coach, or you're interested in either helping your clients in a different way and having more skills in your toolbox, you can become a trained holistic coach with me. And that's a version that you can do online, where I coach you personally, and I coach you on coaching strategies, or you can join my live coaching program. So that's kind of what I do. Or Instagram, Facebook, I'm often putting out stuff. I don't overspend a lot of time on those platforms, because I do a lot of delivery with people, but I have my little bits that I do on there, little questions or things that hopefully are inspirational. And you get my sheep and my dogs and my grandson and hubby and the kids are there as well.
It's definitely very inspirational. Whatever you're putting out there, it always makes me smile and think like, yeah, she definitely triggered something, it made me think again and again, which is brilliant. And that's what it's all about. So thank you for that. For myself and on behalf of everyone else who already has, had this great opportunity of getting to know you a little bit better. Now, could you just tell me very quickly and share that with audience, the best way of connecting with you and getting access to all of those materials you just mentioned before? Is it your website or your social media platforms?
Yeah, my one could be my email. So it could be Eilleen@coachingwitheilleen.com. Could be my email. My other one is my Instagram. So add me on Coaching with Eilleen if you like Instagram. Or the other one, if you prefer Facebook, then you can join my Facebook group, which is called Be Your Own Mindset Ninja, and you'll find that under there. So any one of those platforms, and just say hi, that you came to Matt and Angie's podcast, so I kind of know where you came from. And then we can connect, and I can, I always believe anyone can ask anything. I always get back to people, so you can ask whatever you need. Support one another to smile through life more. So yeah.
Brilliant.
Gosh, that was really amazing. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, thank you. So we probably could have talked for another 2 hours.
No, I don't know who said it. It's good
But
to talk.
I don't have those, unfortunately. At the moment. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on, Eilleen. I really hope you'll come back for another chat. So
Yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate you too I know what goes into the background of these podcasts, the work that you have to do. So thank you too for your time, your energy and your commitment to serve and be there for other people. So appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Guys, if you really enjoyed that, and I know you probably did, not probably, for sure, enjoyed
we're telling you that you did.
you did enjoy it. Please share with us, what did you get out of it? If we would really appreciate
good.
your
opinion. What's your biggest take home?
Your very big take homes. Just share that with us. We would really appreciate that. So I think we're just coming to the end. This is sad because I don't want you to go. I really don't want you to go, but that was amazing. I really enjoyed that. I really did. Really.
Oh, it was good. It was good.
Yeah, thank you.
Trying to do washing the hanger, food to cook, Bristol to get back, sign language course to do.
Life.
Yeah,
this is it. Right.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure, though. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
See you all next week, everyone. Peace, love, always.
Be child.
Ish.
Be child.